Nailed it.
Hey guys, welcome in to our Healthy and Happy Kids Zoom Live. We are so excited to have you all here. People are coming in. So y'all just say hello as they're coming in.
Hey, ladies.
Welcome.
Hi.
Recognizing some names. We'd love to see some faces if you're ready to have your camera on.
Absolutely. Hey,
Okay.
Joan.
Hey.
That is so fun.
Monique, I love your picture.
Yeah.
I'd like to be wherever that is right now.
No kidding.
Thank you so much. I'm actually on the road to Prince Rupert, BC.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I would turn on my camera, but I'm driving.
Totally okay. You have a pass. We will stare at your beautiful picture for as long as we need.
Guys, we're so excited to have you joining us. We're going to go ahead and kick it off so that we can share the love about our kiddos.
All right. Thank you all so much for joining us. You know, I don't know about you, as the summer winds down and the school year starts to come, I start getting in hyper planning mode. And I like to get all our books and our school supplies and our clothes and all of those things ready. But I sometimes forget to consider the persons of the new year. I forget to really evaluate our sleep schedules, our diet, you know, all of those sorts of things, and the tools that we have at our disposal. And when I forget about that, it's kind of like that nightmare of showing up on your first day of school without your pants on. It's not the best, most favorite thing at all, right? It's not a good outcome. So my name is Laura Farrar. I'm so blessed and excited to be here with you guys. We have some wonderful women going to share their stories with their children and some tools that they have considered along the way. First order of business, though, that I want to get out of the way is that we do have some products that may be discussed that are labeled. The FDA has required us to label them as 18 and over. So just know we don't diagnose, pretend to cure, or give you any advice medically for your children. These are tools that these mamas have used probably themselves and have decided to give it a try on their kids and have been met with great success. So we have four great ladies who are going to share with us tonight. First, I want to introduce to you Rosanna Pinner. She is a fun, busy mom of four, balancing a thriving business, farm life, athletic schedules, and all those wonderful things. And she's going to share a little bit of the journey that she's had with her son, Vaughn. So Rosanna, we'll let you start it off.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys so much for hopping on. Every time I think about Vaughn's story, or every time I go and watch him play hockey, or right now he's playing baseball, I just have to take myself back to when he was younger and all the health issues he struggled with. And then I am just met with such a grateful, thankful heart for all the tools, literally, that friends brought into my life that gave me something to help my son live the life that he's living right now. Because from the time he was 10 weeks old, you guys, this is not the road that he was on. So at 10 weeks old, he was admitted into the hospital with bronchiolitis. And you guys, it was awful. He is my firstborn. I'm already a new mom. I'm panicking over the slightest little things. And now my baby's in the hospital. And it was just the start of what felt like a downhill spiral for me with lung issues for him. So from 10 weeks on, we spent time in the ER every fall, every spring, a lot of winter. And we started to notice that it was a lot during the seasonal changes. And it was often in winter, and especially during harvest time on the farm, I guess, with all the dust that comes up and all the just whatever dust that's naturally around a farm, right? So I didn't have any other tools in my tool belt other than we go to the doctor and they gave him that puffer with the steroids in it. It opened up his airways long enough that we could take him home and hopefully have a good night's sleep. But before we get to the ER time, you guys, there have been days and days and days of just no sleep at all because this poor guy is up coughing all night long. And all of us moms know when our kids are up coughing, we hear everything. Like my husband is sleeping like super sound asleep right beside me, has no idea what is happening. But I don't get to sleep and Vaughn's not sleeping, and it was just a miserable cycle. And so when just before he was, okay, how long have I been in Plexus now? 6 years. So probably when he was around 5, we had to go to the ER again because he was coughing. And so we went to the doctor, and the wait time was hours, you guys. And they're like, you know what? It's going to be longer. So you should probably just go try another ER. And on our way to that ER, I'm already crying. I'm super frustrated. I don't know what to do. And my son, it just seems like he's getting sicker and sicker, and the puffers aren't doing it for him right now. And then I remember that my one friend had talked to me about essential oils, and she had tried for years, guys, to make me a mix. She's like, it's going to help Vaughn breathe. It's going to help him breathe. Like, you need to just do it. But natural health was not in my background. And so I fought it. And I said, no. And I called her. I said, Mary, I am desperate. I am on my way to your house. Can you please mix me whatever it is that you want to mix me? Vaughn is coughing and we can't sleep, and we all need to sleep. So I showed up at her house, and she just brought me this container. She told me what to do with it. She sent me home with a diffuser. And guys, we slept that night like babies. And it was incredible. And so that was the start to kind of, I guess, what you'd say, natural healing for us. And so at that time, I had also just started to take Plexus for me. There's a long list of issues there for me. And I started talking to Dr. Jess and a couple other friends, and they're like, you need to give this to Vaughn. Because when you have lung issues like that, it's often related to the bowels. And when I thought about it, I'm like, yeah, Vaughn is that kid that might just go to the bathroom once a day, maybe once every other day. And when he does, like, I'm giving him a book or an iPad. I'm like, please just sit there long enough so you can have a bowel movement. And so I realized, I'm like, oh man, that connection is totally linked. And so now, you guys, I started him just with the ProBiome BioCleanse. I'm pretty sure Laura or Lindsay are going to talk about that later today. It was just those two things that I started him on. I just opened them up. I mixed him up with a little bit of pink drink, and he took them every single day, and his bowels started to go. And it was the following year. It was about 6 months to 12 months later where Scott and I are like, hold on, like, we haven't actually needed to use the puffers in a really long time. What is happening? And it's just really cool to be able to watch his journey. And you guys, his puffers are gone. He still has coughing fits every once in a while, but we have the tools to take care of those guys in like 24, 48 hours. We are on top of it with everything to get that out the door. And so he's playing hockey. He's a goalie, which is absolutely terrifying, but he loves it. And he plays baseball, and he doesn't need to use his puffers for that. And that is incredible, because we did not think that that was a journey with the shape that his lungs were in, that he was going to be able to participate in playing sports. So my girls have their own stories of bladder infections. I won't go into that one right now, but you guys, it has done huge things for the health of my kids, and absolutely amazing. I could talk for hours about what it's done for my kids, but we'll just stop right there, Laura, unless you have anything else you want me to share about.
Oh, no, that is awesome. You know, I can't imagine the fear that would have surrounded me having such a tiny that can't really communicate and not be able to breathe. That would be so terrifying. But I love that he has such a great story, and is an active little kid. Just means you just needed the right tools. I'm so glad.
Goalie. I love that.
So the ride.
All right. So mom number 2 is Valerie Chartrand. She's going to share with us. She is a mom of 2, and she's a motorcycle enthusiast and outdoor baseball mom. And she is mom to Caden, who has had some medical difficulties from the very beginning. And she's going to share with us their story and their journey. And looking forward to hearing more about it. Your turn, Valerie.
Thank you very much. Hi, guys. I'm Val, all the way from Canada here. First of all, welcome. Thank you for joining us. So Caden, he was born with bilateral cleft lip and cleft palate. And what we didn't know at the time of his birth is that a lot of his complications were brought on by this super rare condition. It's called 21q deletion syndrome. So problems with his breathing, his swallowing, and we didn't know for the longest time that it was genetics. We didn't know that there was some neurological problems. All we knew was that he was really small at birth. He was always constipated. Same thing with the sleeping pattern. It was really, really bad. It was a really, really rough first 3 to 4 years because he never slept for more than 3 hours at a time. So we know that, babies grow when they eat and when they sleep. But because he was so constipated all the time and not sleeping, he stayed very, very small for a very long time. So fast forward a few years, he still had constipation problems. His sleeping pattern were a little bit better when he started moving a little bit more, but we still had those problems with the eating. He was not hungry because he was always full. And we used, everything under the sun that you could use for a kid. And it would work for a certain amount of time. And then it almost seemed like it just quit working. Right. So that was really hard for him. When he started school, same thing, he would eat really good for a few days in a row. And then after that, when he was getting so full, he wasn't having bowel movements, then his appetite would cut back. And then he would get cranky and all that stuff. And the sleeping pattern would go back right into the dumps. Then fast forward a few more years, he is now 10 years old. And we only found out about his condition a couple of years ago. And with this condition comes, with this syndrome comes high irritability. He has a very severe ADHD with learning disabilities, and he also gets pretty bad anxiety. His speech is severely delayed as well. So for him to express himself, sometimes because he can't put the words out as he feels them, it would turn into like massive panic attacks, and he would hurt himself, like he would hit himself. You guys punched himself so hard that he would leave bruises. So we took him to the pediatrician, and we decided, after thinking long and hard, to put him on ADHD meds. So the doctor warned us, it's not going to be a walk in the park. There might be some adjustments to do with this food, his eating habit and all that stuff, but we had to make sure he was drinking lots of water. And, like any other medication that you take, you still want to drink enough water to be able to flush out whatever you don't need. And so we had him on 30 milligrams of Strattera. So it's not, it doesn't have anything in it. Like it's not, I'm sorry, my French is coming out right now. It doesn't make him go, it's not a stimulant. There we go. It's not a stimulant, but it was suppressing his appetite really, really, really badly. So at first at school, it was better for him because he could focus, and having a learning disability already to start with, his inability to focus was only holding him back so far back behind everybody else. Right. So we put him on those meds, and it worked for a little bit at first, but we didn't want to give him 30 milligrams because it seemed pretty intense for, just starting on those meds. So we were splitting them in 3 pills a day. So 10 milligrams in the morning, 10 at lunchtime, and 10 at supper time. So then we realized that slowly his appetite was decreasing. So he didn't want to eat anymore. Even his water, his fluid intake was not there anymore. He did not want it. He was refusing to drink water. He was a big milk drinker before. He didn't even want to drink milk. So it was a constant fight to get him to eat, to get him to drink. And even then, the sleeping issues was not gone. And he would still hurt himself. He would still punch himself and get overwhelmed and go into full-blown panic attacks. So I had already been on the Plexus product for, at that time, about 5 months. Yes, because I started in September of 2020, early September. And I had absolutely debilitating anxiety and depression as well. And this one supplement that I was taking was helping me a lot. I got off all of my prescriptions for anxiety and depression, and it's called Vital Biome. So I'm sure it's going to be brought up and what it does, but I figured, it's all plant-based, it's all natural. Why not try it with Caden and try to calm down that anxiety, because it works so good for me. So we had a chat, me and my husband, after Caden had his worst meltdown. He was so terrified. It was heartbreaking. I had to physically restrain him so he would stop hitting himself. And that day, even that wasn't working. And he was kicking and punching, and he hit me in the chest a few times. And the third time was really hard with his knee. And I went, ow. And he looked at me and he was just completely terrified because he could not stop himself. And he looked at me and he was crying and he said, Mama, what's happened to me? And he was trying to push me away to stop hurting me. But at the same time, his little hands were just wrapped up in my shirt. And it was so heartbreaking. So we had to do something. We had to become our own doctors and try something that I knew was not going to hurt him. I knew it could help him. Maybe it would, maybe it wouldn't. But thank God it did. So because of that vital biome, one single capsule in the morning on an empty stomach was calming him down so much. And because of that, he was able to focus more. And after 3 days, we were able to take out the lunch pill out of the equation. So he was only getting 20 milligrams instead of 30. Well, he has an older brother that's 13 years old. He plays rep baseball, football. He's into every kind of sport, super active, and he eats a lot. Well, after 3 days, Caden was back to eating just as much as his big brother. It was life-changing. And because he was able to eat properly, he wasn't malnourished anymore. Plus, he is taking the X Factor kids to get all those, vitamins and nutrients, and he loves the taste of them. I have to stop him because he will eat too many in a day. But it made such a huge difference. And even at school, he's in a special class. And one of the teacher's helper came and told us, I don't know what you've been doing with Caden, but whatever you're doing, keep doing it. Because today he had no banging on the table, no making noises, no rocking. He was just super focused. He was able to trace his letters. He was able to count and all that stuff. And that's from the vital biome. So that's Caden's story.
That is beautiful. I just wish I could reach out and hug you. I know that had to have been so hard. Oh, but what a sweet, sweet story. Oh, goodness gracious. Makes me tear up. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. All right. Amy is going to share with us about her son, Amos. Amy, I got to meet last month in Michigan, and I was so excited. She's got 3 very handsome young men that she is mom to. She loves the out of doors, and she is such a beautiful encourager of her people. Just love having Amy here with us tonight. So
well, thank you. What a beautiful introduction. That's very kind of you. I just have to say right now, like that testimony about your son, Val, is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And it just empowers me to want to share this with parents that struggle, right? With parents that struggle with genetics or any kind of behavioral issues at all. Like they need to know about vital biome. So that's a really powerful thing. We need to make sure that that's the reason we share, right? So that people's lives can be changed. Because what happens is we change mama's lives and it changes families' lives. And that's very much a part of what has happened for me. I started Plexus about 3 years ago, actually, for myself, and had pretty good results. Actually, I had adrenal fatigue, which was a big part of my story, why I responded so well to the products. But once I started responding as well as I did, I really got more curious because I didn't actually research anything. I just listened to Dr. Jess when she told me what to take. And once I discovered what was available and how great these products were and the community, I really started delving into the information and learning a lot more. As soon as I was able to, I started my family on the products. So for me, it was really, really powerful to learn that when you have a baby, whatever the state of your gut health is what your baby gets. And that was really very eye-opening for me. Now, I had 3 C-sections, and so that was like, okay, I understand how the microbiome passes that way. But when you have a C-section, whoever touches your baby first is whose microbiome they get. And so it's a really big deal. And so then going backwards, because my children are older, I have teenagers. So going backwards and looking at what my babies were like and thinking about what my gut health was like, And also then again, wondering, well, who touched them first, right? Because that's how they get their gut health. It's interesting to me what Rosanna said about her daughters with urinary tract infections. That struck a bell with me because I have a huge history of urinary tract infections, so much that I can't even begin to tell you how many rounds of antibiotics I was on as a young woman. And so I know now what I know, that the state of my gut was really bad when I was pregnant. I wish I would have known what I knew, what I know now when I was pregnant, but going forward is what we can do now. So making sure people understand that. So for me, thinking about my babies, I knew my middle boy Amos was one that I wanted to especially get on the products. He was the baby that as soon as we brought him home, he had really goopy eyes, just like day one, goopy eyes. We brought in an air purifier that got better. So he just sort of right from the get-go had this kind of allergic pattern to him. Whenever he had to have a bowel movement as a baby infant, he would just scream whenever he had to have a bowel movement. And then he was hell on wheels. Let's just say that. He was the child that you did not dare turn your back on. You needed to know where he was. He was always climbing something, pulling over TVs onto himself, that he was just a wild child. I had actually worked in healthcare for about 18 years, and I worked for a doctor who he actually retired shortly after I started there, but he talked about all these children that had ADD and all these behavioral issues, and that they really had a dairy allergy. He was really a big proponent about trying to teach parents that behavioral problems are tied to food allergies a lot. So when he was about 3, I had Amos tested, and sure enough, he was allergic to dairy and a couple other things. We did pull dairy for quite a while, and then we introduced it over the years. You have another child and kind of things get a little wonky. But probably about 5 years ago or so, he was really having a lot of belly aches and headaches when he ate dairy. I actually had discovered a really good naturopath doctor here who talked to me about dairy allergies and the differences between lactose and lactase and things like that. And so we adjusted his diet accordingly. But anytime he just wanted ice cream or something, he got a bellyache from it, or a headache, or both. And so it's funny, we just had our Plexus convention where they sell, shirts and things like that. And I actually intentionally bought Amos a Plexus shirt. And the reason that I did that is because Amos is a faithful Plexus user. He is 15 years old now. He is, he would have been tested as ADD. He's a very strong-willed child, very smart, very gifted. Once I learned his learning style, that was a great thing. But as far as what these products have done for him, he does not have any headaches or belly aches anymore at all with dairy, and he hasn't for quite a while. It's kind of funny with these products, you kind of have to go backwards and think like, wow, what was I struggling with? Because so many things just kind of get better and better and better. I actually had to ask him, I want to share your testimony, and I want you, I know they work, here's how I know they work for you, but I want to know in your opinion. And that's first thing he went to is the headaches and the belly aches. So his acne, actually, because he's a teenage boy, he started getting acne. 2 reasons why I know these products have helped him. Number one, he actually went through some detox that, because I learned what I learned and I know what I know, and I realized what was happening. His acne got a little bit worse first, and he never had any problem, but he had really bad dandruff. He was really flaky as we were increasing his probiotic and kind of going through the healing layers. And so that was great for me, because I knew then just to increase his BioCleanse and make sure that the toxins were moving through. And, he's a little bit of acne now, but nothing like he had before. It's just normal teenage stuff. And I was actually thinking about this before we hopped on. I live with 4 men, so body odor is a real deal every day around here. And Amos doesn't really have an issue with that like the other boys. And the reason why is because, so this is the kid who I have to remind, even at 15, dude, did you brush your teeth, right? Never, ever, ever do I have to ask him about his Plexus supplements. He gets up, he walks right out and mixes a pink drink every single day, takes his BioCleanse, takes his vitamins, takes his ProBio 5 at night. He absolutely loves Plexus. He tells me, Mom, you need to like order that bottle before we run out. Like, get on the stick, Mom. We don't want to run out of products. I legit have to like hide the pink drinks from him because like mom's first, gotta keep mama healthy. But anyways, for me, it's been just a really a fun thing to watch. His focus is so much better. And really just the fact that this kid just takes his products, like, I don't even have to question him at all. And I know that is because they really make him feel better and has made a difference in his life. So if you're thinking about this for your kids, I just can't say enough about how great they are.
Yeah, that's a super big deal for a teenage boy to be consistent with anything. I have
amazing.
been through that one. That's awesome though, because I like that you mentioned focus, and then even the acne, as a teenage boy in school, that's a big deal. That appearance is. Sorry, my computer's going to die here in a minute. Unplug in, but first I'm going to introduce Lindsay Gosnell. Lindsay is not only a good friend of mine, but a mentor. She is mom of 4, adopted mom of 1, managing her business and farm life with cats and dogs and chickens and horses, an occasional pig or 2 here and there. She is living her life as the Lord has designed. And I am so thankful that she has agreed to share with us about her little ones.
I'm so honored to be on here. And I think we as mamas just pour out all the time, right? And when our kids are hurting, we're hurting. So this is such an important topic. I'm so encouraged by the stories that everyone has shared. Plexus has been in my life for a long time now. So I've been able to see it from the time that my oldest was 6 to he turns 12 tomorrow, right? That's a long span of his own personal life. So talk about a kid who remembers life before Plexus and knows what it's like now. And he dealt with eczema, and we had earaches. We had chronic sinusitis. We just don't have that anymore. But who I'm really going to chat about, it's funny because like we could talk about all of our kids, right? But specifically, if I'm going to talk about the kids' products, I wanted to focus on my 2 that are younger. So they're now 5 and 7. But when the kids' products came out, that was, I don't know, a couple years ago maybe. But the drink came out last summer. And so we do have a little special guy from China, and he has a lot of learning difficulties, language difficulties, attention span issues, trauma behavior that manifests in all kinds of really interesting ways depending on the day. And so he was very malnourished when he came home. So to see his body physically grow since he's been home and been giving good nutrition and supplementation, that's night and day. His coloring, his skin, he had skin sores, he had patches that were missing in his hair. All of that is filled in. His coloring is beautiful. He looks healthy. But even what you can't see on the outside, you can see in the inside. So this year we repeated kindergarten because he came home and he was over 4. So we did 2 years of kindergarten. And since we've had that drink specifically, I can tell a difference in how he can retain information, and his sensory processing is still very slow, but he works very hard on it, and he has way less frustration. So those omegas that are the building blocks for his brain development have tremendously increased his ability to learn. So we had this big party at the end of kinder round 2 that we're like, we're graduating to first grade. I mean, he didn't know anything when he came home, and now he can sight read and he can communicate. So we've seen a tremendous increase in his brain development and his retention. So those are probably the biggest things that I've noticed in him, is just he's healthy, he's strong, he can control his behavior. And then one story that I always think is really funny, Shiloh, who's my youngest, she has always been a good pooper. Like, she's on and off the toilet in like no time at all. I'm like, did you do anything? And did you wipe, right? Like, what happened in there? Because it was so fast. So when we got that drink, she, everybody tasted and they all got to drinking it. And it was around day 5 of the drink that I remember my older boys, like, I don't know what, but it was late in the day. And they were like, Shiloh, did you poop in every toilet of the house? Because she doesn't flush. So we have 5 toilets, y'all, 5 toilets. And I was like, wait, what? I'm like hearing this in the background. And she's like, yeah, I pooped 5 times today, right? And so it was fascinating to me who a girl who'd been on Plexus in utero, because that's when I started Plexus, was my midwife telling me about Plexus when I was pregnant with her. So she had Plexus. She'd been using Plexus from the day she was born. But even still, how this child had some stuff that needed to come out, and that prebiotic fiber just moved that stuff right on out. So anyway, she's back to pooping 2 or 3 times a day. I mean, she's just a champ. But that just cracked me up. I was like, well, look at that. Even the good ones can still improve. So those are probably my 2 favorite stories that are specifically about the kids' products. They're so amazing. We don't have any constipation in our home. We don't have any tummy troubles. We don't have food allergies. We just, we're very food conscious around here. We try to avoid food dyes and all of that. But my kids are just consistent. And I'm so grateful because before Plexus, we were consistently sick. And so now we just are so thankful to have these tools that help speed things along. Even if we do get sick, we have the tools and we get through them. So that's a little of my story.
That's so awesome. I thank you ladies so much for sharing your story. One thing, that it weaves its way through all of our stories is how much we love our children and how much we trust Plexus, because all of us tested it out on ourselves just about before we trusted it upon our children. We'll experiment on us and prove it and then pass it along. So what a great company we have. These students, these are all children in school. They have experienced some really great life change through all of these products and through paying attention to their bodies and supplementing. But how can we, maybe we have children that don't have any health issues that are just kind of blowing through life, but what do we do to set our kids up for that A+ school year, right? I think there's really 3 key things. Sleep, nutrition, and hydration are really ideal 3 little pillars to our stool, right? So talking about sleep, about the only thing I can say to is guard that time precious, because if you read the American Academy of Pediatrics, they recommend that children ages 6 through 12 get 10 to 12 hours of sleep a night. 13 through 18, 8 to 10 hours of sleep per night. Y'all, that might be feasible during the summer, but I know that when our extracurriculars and homework comes on, it is going to be super, super hard to get all of that needed rest. So protect that time, allow them as much as possible, and then pay attention when I'm talking about some products about sleep or serotonin. Those are some key things that are going to really get your kids set up well. One of the first products, Lindsay mentioned it, oops, I don't know if you can see it at all, is the X Factor Kids. That's in my first purchase with Plexus, I had that included. And I was super thankful because it is a 2-in-1, right? It's a multivitamin and a probiotic. And what I love about that is that we know our kids do not get the vegetables and fruits they need on a daily basis. And even if they do, our soils are so depleted through the years that they just don't have the nutritional value that they used to. So I think every kid really needs some level of supplementation. So I love that there are vitamins included that will do healthy bone growth, cognitive development, brain health. All of those things are really key. B vitamins are necessary for brain development. And this product has B1, 2, 3, 6, 9, and 12. I mean, that is a whole litany of B vitamins that are going to support your child. It is supporting your immune system with vitamin C, E, and the probiotics. I mean, you've heard a lot about gut health in this and how that has improved their children's health, how they're not getting sick as often. That's all in your gut. So they're getting 13 essential vitamins and 4 different strains of probiotics. That is super key for brain function. It's key for gut health. I mean, like you heard, constipation. What is that? fall into behavior issues, sleep patterns, eating. All of those things really are tied into it. When you look at your immune system, go Google it, gut health and immune system, see what you find. I think you'll be super amazed at how paying attention to even just that one area of our littles' bodies will just bleed over into day-to-day differences all over the place. My next favorite thing was the drink, the Mega Kids microbiome. Like Lindsay said, that came out last summer, last June at convention. My girl was super excited to have her own drink. I was super excited because she wasn't begging me for my pink drink, because my pink drink is my pink drink, not your pink drink. And so she loved that she had her very own. I loved that it does have those prebiotic fibers, right? One of the things that we want to do with the probiotics, we can put probiotics in our gut left and right. If it's not the right environment for them to grow and develop, they're not going to outnumber the bad bacteria. So we want the prebiotics that are going to feed the good probiotics so that they can grow and outnumber the bad guys, right? So that our kids have a fighting chance in their gut. It also has, like Lindsay had mentioned, the DHA, the omegas. It's a plant-based version, so it doesn't taste fishy. So it has a really nice flavor. That DHA is super important for brain development, neurotransmission, and all of that kind of stuff. There is lutein as well. That comes from marigolds. What I love about lutein is that it helps with your eyes. So let's think about our student and how do they function their day in school, right? Eye health is super important to be able to read the whiteboard, to be able to participate in sports and, you know, all of the reading that they do. It also, some research is saying that it can help with cognitive development and the neural communication. So the communication between the neurons and their little brains. So that is so key. And I love that. Those who have been around me and my girl from since day one with her knows that I am super conscious about sugar and food dyes and what goes into her body. I do not like high sugar things, and I do not like food dyes because that is a known allergen that does affect children's behavior. There are so many people who their little bodies are hyperactive, they can't pay attention and all of that. When you remove sugar and food dyes, that dramatically decreases. So what I love about Plexus is that they do not add sugars into their products. Their drinks taste lovely. Their little vitamins are really tasty, but it is all plant-based. It is natural. The food coloring really is food coloring. It comes from food. So it will come from plants and vegetables. You don't have to worry about artificial things. So I love all of that there. That just, when I read ingredients, my girl even knows, oh, that has food dye. I mean, she will refuse certain things because she knows that I will frown upon it. At a very basic level. So we've talked about sleep, we've talked a little bit about nutrition, and now we need to talk about hydration. Because when you are even slightly dehydrated, and by slightly dehydrated, that means you want a drink of water, you are thirsty. Your brain actually decreases the speed of thought, that it's functioning by 10 to 15%. So that is your memory, your attention, your concentration, just at a very basic level. Water is needed for the brain to work. So here we are, tail end of summer. We've been at home nagging our kids to drink their water, drink their water, drink their water. They go off to school. They might get a sip of water going in between gym class, or they might get 6 ounces of something to drink at lunch. And then we wonder, why are they so tired? Why are they constipated? Why can't they hold a thought for 2 seconds? It is because their brains and their little bodies are dehydrated, and their body is reacting to that. So excited this summer that now we have Hydrate, which is, I think it's Hydroplex in Canada. Is that right? Okay. It is Plexus's version of an electrolyte drink. Here we go. It does not have sugars. It has 1 gram of added sugar versus on the shelf, pretty color and all the sugars added to it. Way many sugars. Did you know that a male person is only supposed to have 35 grams of added sugar per day? Female and children, 25 grams. Some of those lovely little electrolyte drinks have 22 grams of added sugar. So that's all you can have for the day. That's your quota. You can't have any more sugar in your diet. That is crazy. So here we go. This is why I really love it. Contains 0 added sugars, no artificial flavors, only 10 calories per it. Carbs are an energy source. We do need carbs for our brains to work, but they need to be complex carbs, not refined sugars. So let's replace our sugary drinks with water. Let's also not send our kids off to school with donuts and pancakes. And my girl's favorite breakfast is pancake, because what happens is your sugar, it goes up, oh, hi, I have energy. And then you start to do a decline and they're fatigued and they can't keep up with life, right? There is that crash. So let's set them up well in that way. Hydrate also contains 90% of the recommended value of zinc. Zinc helps produce the hormone serotonin. It is stabilizes your mood, your feelings of happiness and contentment. It also helps your brain cells and the nervous system cells communicate with one another. So it helps with sleeping, eating, and digestion. Those are all things and processes that involve zinc. So I love Hydrate. It is wonderful for anyone. Kids playing sports, you got to pick them up from work and grab a little packet. Oh, I have a little packet. I have little packets of Hydrate. It also comes in a little tub with scoop. So whichever is more convenient for you. Love that. Y'all, kids don't like drinking plain water all the time. They want flavors, and those pretty colors really are enticing. So now with these 2 drinks, Hydrate, Mega Kids Microbiome, we have flavors. So at the very least, we have flavored water for our kids. Yay, they drink more. What we know that every system in their little bodies is being supported by these drinks. We know that we are putting something healthy. It is not just a quick rush. It is not just something to drink down their bodies because they need to drink the fluid. We know it is supporting them well, supporting them so they can concentrate in school, so they can continue on with their sports, so they have the energy to then do homework at home. They have to keep going, just like we have to keep going, right? So I love that. I am thankful for the thoroughness and the intentionality of Plexus as a company. I am thankful for these women who have shared their stories so that we can learn from one another. I love the science of why these ingredients are selected. When you look at the purpose and who their audience is, where it helps is a beautiful, beautiful thing. It is just something that I could just talk about all day, and I'll talk about it another time. But should you have any questions at all, please do contact the person that invited you. I know that they want to set you up, not just for the good deals of back to school, not just where to get the school supplies really cheap, but they want to set you up for a good year with your student, an A+ year with your student to be successful. They are your friend and they want your success. And I'm thankful we have these tools. Now, Lindsay is going to share a little bit, then I'm going to come on back with one more final plug.
I am so thankful, Laura. I love how your brain just grabs the things that are most important and highlights them. I'm so grateful that the Lord has wired you in that way, because I learn from you every time. And I love how you just said Plexus supports our kids from the top of their head to the bottom of their toes. And I love that it's affordable. So if you're sitting there thinking, oh, this is going to cost a fortune, I promise it's not. I actually replaced the things that I was using that, I ordered like 8 bottles of different things for my kiddos. And now I have 2 products and I save a ton of money. And do you know what else I don't do? Doctor bills. Okay, so we love to support holistically at home. We're grateful for modern medicine when we need it, but it's not our first go-to. So Plexus has replaced a lot of things for us. So anyway, grab your friend who maybe invited you to listen into this tonight and say, hey, what can I do? We have some small family welcome packs where mama gets her pink drink and kiddo gets their pink drink. And we have some bigger combos where you can include the Hydrate and the Active, and you get your Slim and you get your kids products. So there are bundles of 2 sizes. Find the one that best meets your needs for your family and your budget. I'm also married to the budget coach. So I'm a huge proponent for let's make it work in your budget. And if you need help to offset the cost of that products, we're happy to show you how sharing is so simple and can help you get the cost of your products covered. So with Plexus, there are incredible opportunities. We most want to love and serve you, your family, your long-term legacy health more than anything in the world. So please allow us this gift of just having this blessed conversation with you. We can't wait for your kiddos to have stories like this too. So thanks again.
Awesome. So one final plug before we close. I want you to all come back August 18th. I'm going to do a back to school for parents because we all know that the back to school routine doesn't end with our kids and it doesn't begin with them. A lot of times it begins with the abilities of the parent to be able to keep up with the schedule and this new routine and some tools that we have that will support the parent, because the kids aren't the only ones going through change. Now you're just adding 15 different things to you in your day. So we want you to have an A+ year alongside your students. So thank you so much for joining us and spending your time with us. I know this may have been a little long than some had anticipated, but thanks for sticking with me and all the goodness to you.
Ladies, thank you so much. We love you all. May the Lord bless you and your families this school year. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.